What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams Stalkers, the Stinkonian ambassador, and I'm back. Hold up. Wait. I'm looking a little bit scruffy. We're going to have to do something about this. Hold on, we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and that's much better. I don't look like nobody cares about me. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be continuing down the rabbit hole that we were on yesterday. So to bring you up to speed, if you weren't paying attention yesterday, we walked down the rabbit hole of what's really going on behind lizard people. What's really going on behind a lot of things that are happening around the world. Skinwalkers, lizard people, you name it. I think it all has relation to this. And I think it's important that we touch on this. Now, I touched upon this subject if you've been following me for a long time. You know, I touched upon this 2 years ago when this all actually was going down. I probably was one of the only people in the cryptid community to ever talk about it, but I brought it to your attention because I felt like it was important. And with that being said, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, people wonder where these strange beings that we're seeing are coming from, whether it be lizard people, Dogman, Bigfoot, all these different things. I submit to you today that our government is behind it all. Every last bit of it. Everything you've seen, they are behind it. And I'm going to walk through some of the things that brought me to this conclusion with these videos. And for those of you who don't know me, I have been in the cryptid field for 9 years. I've done over 327 interviews at this point in time, or 337 interviews at this point in time. Pretty sure it's 37 interviews at this time. Talked to over 1,000 eyewitnesses on the phone, took their stories. My research is public. You can look up Dogman 101, 102, 103, and 104. And I've done a deep dive into all this, and it just didn't make any sense. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So my premise is this. There's lizard people, real lizard people that are in control. And they're doing everything in their power to make sure that they ruin this planet and control humanity. Now, whether you say a lizard person is an actual lizard or a demon or a demonic entity, they could be interchangeable. I mean, some people won't go for lizards, some people will go for demons, some people will go for elites. I think it's all interchangeable. Clearly, there's something lizardy about the whole situation. So right now, I'm focused on the lizard aspect of it. I'm focused on their lizard asses. You heard me? But clearly, there's something else going on as well. Now, chimeras. I was trying to find everything I could find about chimeras. The only thing I was able to find was this guy talking about it. Now, he was doing it as a form of satire, telling the truth with satire, which is the way you actually get the truth out. Most people think you just tell the truth and say, yeah, those people over there are a bunch of lizards. People are going to look at you like you're crazy. But nonetheless, here we go.
Evolve using human embryos. For example, scientists have tested drugs on mice with humanized livers to predict how a regular human might react. The National Institutes of Health, the U.S. government agency in charge of biomedical and public health research, had put a ban on funding research with certain types of human-animal chimeras. Recent experiments have created...
Stop, pause. Point I want to make to you right now. The man just said they put a ban on certain types of research with human-animal chimeras. Was that you know? They've been busting this move for quite some time. And they've been researching for quite some time. This is a stopgap measure of them trying to hold people accountable on the back end. So it means that people been doing it, and now they're saying, hold on. We need to put a stopgap measure in place because somebody done found out about something that was created that they ain't really like. I mean, it's just me translating it from his language to Negroese and explaining it to you. They done did something that done caught somebody's attention, and they saying, hold on, bro, you can't be out here in these streets doing this. We got to try and find a way to dial it back, or at least make it seem like we dialing it back.
Created human chimeras made with pigs, sheep, mice that are 4% human, and even elephant seals. The International Society for Stem Cell Research has released new guidelines to allow the study of human embryos for longer than 14 days. The chair of the task force that wrote the guidelines say it's both difficult and pointless to propose any new limit. Senator Mike Braun says human life is distinct and sacred, and research that creates chimeras should be completely prohibited. Senator James
Stop. I'm gonna tell you like this. If you're in a lab, I told y'all yesterday about the test tube babies, and I said they've probably been making test tube babies. Clearly, they've been making test tube babies. So here's the dilemma that we're facing. And this is what happens when you have those big brain scientist people who have no connection to the world doing things unsupervised. My background is in engineering. I can consider myself to be a big brain, but not quite of a big brain as those people. But here's what I do know about big brain people. Megamind people. They are completely and totally disassociated and detached from society. For example, I'm a big brain engineer, but I still go to the hood to get my hair cut. And when I walk into the hood to get my hair cut, there's no misconceptions, there's no confusion about the state of America, about the state of the country. Because somebody, they got yellow tape out there. They got yellow tape up the street. So when you ride past yellow tape to go get your hair cut, you know it's real out here in these streets. When you go into the barber shop, you open the front door and that marijuana smoke busting your nose, everybody in there laughing, clowning, and joking. And then when you really listen to what they're talking about, they explain about how their auntie died and how their cousin passed away and how they're having problems paying their bills. You understand, you can have the biggest brain you want, but you understand that humanity is still suffering. But what ends up happening is these big brains, they get in these labs. Ain't nobody there but them. Y'all need somebody like me in the lab, because I smack the crap out of you. Like, why are you splicing that? Pow! I'm talking about, pow! Not like this. You just turn that wrist, pow! Smack the piss out of them. You're like, you need to calm down. What you doing? How you think this is going to affect the whole entire world? But nobody in there to slap them. That's the problem. So they playing God. That's what they're doing. They're playing God. Now some of y'all gonna be like, there's no such thing as God. Shut your ass up. I don't care what you believe. They playing God. Straight up, that's what they're doing. And people trying to push back on.
Langford says researchers should focus on valuing the dignity of human life, not trying to genetically merge and manipulate humans and animals. Senator Steve Daines says we shouldn't become like China by failing to recognize the distinct value of humans over animals.
Oh, he just snitched on China. He just snitched on China. So here you go. Now you know. China definitely been doing it. Y'all know what that they were saying that came out of. They said it came out of Wuhan. So what I'm saying is this: China been doing it. China been doing it. And I dare to say this. I guarantee you, if you keep going down this rabbit hole, you'll find out that the black budget funding for probably what's going on in all kind of other places came from your damn tax dollars, right out your wallet. While you paying $13 for gas, $17.7 for eggs, $19.12 for bacon. They're just sending your money over there to make humans, to make animals, to make monsters. Yeah, they're making monsters. That's what they're doing. They're making monsters.
Braun also slammed the International Society for Stem Cell Research for providing guidance that loosened restraints on human embryo research.
These Negroes want to loosen. This is crazy.
Violations would result in either 10 years imprisonment, a $1 million fine, or both. 48 Republicans.
No. 10 years in prison ain't gonna get it. Mega brains need to have life in prison, and they need to have everything taken from them. No fines, just life in prison. Matter of fact, the mega brains that's doing this need to be executed. Let's just go with it like that.
Republicans supported the amendment, but 49 Democrats and independents voted against it.
It's the most.
So basically, the bill didn't pass. The bill didn't pass. So guess what? They tried to pass the bill in the Senate, and it didn't pass. If you listen to the numbers, they didn't pass the bill. So guess what? They out there wilding out in the streets over the past 2 years, unrestricted, basically on making human animal chimeras, making monsters. And then you wondering why you seeing stuff in the woods. Come on, man. You're wondering why you're seeing stuff in the woods. Then you get to talking about how everybody was running at the deep underground bases, the dumbs. The monsters are in the dumbs. I bet their asses is in the dumbs. I'm pretty sure they are in the dumbs. Now, this is a homegirl from yesterday. I finished watching that, and I found some of the things she said to be extremely interesting. And we're going to spend a few minutes looking at her. I'm going to break down some of the things she said. When we get towards transhumanism, you're going to realize why 2 years ago they was defending these laws. Now, she had this talk that she did it 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, she was talking about transhumanism and how the government, DARPA itself, the big brains of the government, were experimenting with transhumanism. This was 7 years ago. This was the results of her research and her conversations that she put into a book. I just surmised that it took her maybe about 2 years to get to that point. So you go 7 years back, and then you go 2 years beyond that. We talking about 9, almost 10 years ago. She was in labs with them looking at the stuff they're doing. Fast forward, talking about 12, 13 years possibly now. And only 2 years ago did they get to the point to where they said, hey, maybe we need to put a stop to some of this stuff. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
Most powerful, most productive military science agency in the world. And it's also one of the least reported on.
DARPA.
DARPA does many great things. It, of course, created the internet, originally called the ARPANET. Because of DARPA, we have GPS technology, sensor technology. But DARPA's mandate, as was instructed to Congress when DARPA was created in 1958, is to create vast weapon systems of the future.
For those of y'all who missed it yesterday, that's why I'm recapping this. DARPA makes weapon systems. It's very important that you understand this. So everything that she's talking about moving forward is in the context of a weapon system, right? She's going to talk about the internet. That means the internet is a weapon system. She talked about cell phones. That means the cell phones is a weapon system. GPS, weapon system, all right? So I need you to understand everything is in the context of a weapons system. We talked about this yesterday. This for the people who just tuning in.
DARPA has also done its job to create this very powerful, almost omnipotent military industrial.
Stop. She just used the word omnipotent, godlike. I just told you these people try and play God. Just want to bring that out to you.
Industrial complex that is forever creating new weapon systems once the weapon systems become public and the enemy creates that same weapon system.
So basically, big brain DARPA uses a weapon. It becomes public. Other people figure out what we're doing because they got it used on them. And then they figure out they're going to do it them damn selves. And then DARPA rolls on to the next one. So it rolls out a weapon, destroys people and things. Other people figure out what they're doing. Other countries figure out what we've done. They use the same weapon to destroy people, places, and things. And then DARPA rolls out the next one.
Surprisingly,
that's just translated to Negro.
They aren't really familiar with this. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, wow, what if? When in fact, this is dogma at the Pentagon. And you can read about it in their unclassified reports that talk about DARPA's plans and the Pentagon's plans for drones and autonomous warfare. So if those who are advising the Pentagon how to proceed and which vast weapon systems of the future to create are the very individuals who are responsible for creating and...
See? Big brains everywhere. I just told you, mega mind, big brains, not connected to society whatsoever.
And selling those vast weapon systems of the future, then you have that closed loop that Eisenhower warned against.
And with that, it's almost a conscience.
DARPA calls it transhumanism, military transhumanism. But in an interesting way, this is actually part and parcel of the whole movement towards robotics. Total information awareness program. And that was this idea to use sensor technology to monitor American citizens, to look at their credit card transactions, to look at the library books they take out, to monitor who they're talking to try and create with computers which are now very sophisticated and algorithms which have gotten
What your boy said yesterday. I'm not lying to you when I tell you I didn't watch this whole thing yesterday, bro. I only grabbed that snippet. What your boy told y'all yesterday? I told y'all that these algorithms was a weapon. The same damn algorithm that I'm talking to you through right now that allowed me to get to you. And I know it's a weapon because there's times that they won't allow me to get to you. The same damn algorithm is a weapon. In fact, that little box you're looking at me on right now, I don't know if it's a box in your hand, if it's a box mounted on your wall, if it's a box you got laying in your lap, if it's a tablet box that you're holding with your two thumbs, that's a damn weapon. You understand? You heard me? It's a weapon. I said this yesterday. I just want to make sure we understand this. Now, let me say this. Transhumanism, meaning the melding of humans and machines. Yesterday, you heard Shorty right here talking about them taking a moth and putting the technology in the larva, so when the moth got to be grown, they could fly the moth around, right? So don't it make all the sense in the world that if you needed, I mean, really, like, let's say you really, really needed to track down somebody in them woods, don't it make all the sense in the world that you would develop some kind of animal that you could control that's part human, part wolf, part human, part bear, part human, part bird, and then you control that thing while it goes through the woods and wreaks all kind of havoc? Don't it make perfect sense based on this? Yeah, it make perfect sense to me. Make all the sense in the world to me. Then you add in the reptilians. You add them in, spraying stuff to blot out the sun so the planet could be warmer, right? Because the reptiles like stuff hot. Bro, I'm just trying to tell you, man. Everybody be talking that conspiracy theory stuff. Use a tard.
Much more sophisticated with help from NSA, etc., to then use this system of systems to find not the Ho Chi Minh fighter on the trail, but rather the terrorist among us. DARPA had created...
So they want to use the system to find a terrorist among us. But the term terrorist is a label that's applied to people. You see what I'm saying? Terrorist is ambiguous. It's got to be applied to a certain group of people, a certain looking person, a certain talking person, a certain walking person, a certain person with a certain set of beliefs. That's what becomes a terrorist. You hear me? Now, of course, there are terrorists that run around and blow people up with bombs. Those do exist. You know what I'm saying? They be wilding. But also, it's just such a broad scope when you start just throwing that word around.
Agent Orange during the war, DARPA set about this sprawling program where it hired anthropologists and social scientists to go into the field to conduct interviews to try and find out what made the Viet Cong tick.
Social scientists. For a second, what do you think social science is? Social science is the study of how societies interact and how people interact. Social scientists go in around the time of Vietnam, and now we got what's called social media, which is a vast network that allows them to monitor everyone. This is making me want to delete all my social media the more I think about it. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Press office does a great job of getting those kinds of stories out so that the citizenry is aware of, what the agency is capable of.
So
no one else is willing to fund limb regeneration technology that may pay off in 25 years. DARPA, seems to be entering into arenas way before the public even knows about them.
Oh, hell yeah, they're in arenas way before the public knows about them. She kind of dry snitching on DARPA. She doing it in a safe, very smart way. In a cute, safe, smart way. But she dry snitching on them. Like, she dry snitching on them. The way she phrasing things, she ain't really telling on them, but she telling on them. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the police roll up on you, be like, hey, man, you know who shot that dude up the street? Man, I don't know nothing about who shot that dude up the street, but I saw somebody run that house over there. Dry snitching. That's what she doing.
Congress, that's one of hundreds of documents that different congressional committees have to look at. GPS technology, because everyone knows about it. We all use GPS. That is a DARPA technology. I think the most interesting one, and the one that I know about to the greatest degree, is the CIA's DARPA. It's called IARPA.
She just snitched on the CIA, said they got their own DARPA. Did y'all know there was an IARPA? I didn't know there was an IARPA.
This agency functioned exactly as it was supposed to, and how little waste there was. So there's this idea of how important that human with a conscience is, which is why when we come to the end of the book and you learn about artificial intelligence, you really have to stop and say, wait a minute, a thermonuclear weapon may be indefensible against, but it can't launch itself.
Amen, sister. That's what I'm talking about. You're damn right. It can't launch itself. So somebody got to hit that button. And see, that's what I was saying yesterday. Even the worst of the worst human being ain't willing to do certain things that a robot will just do. It ain't gonna launch itself. They're gonna need somebody that, if you got a human now, that's got to hit that button. Y'all seen all the movies where the dude got the military briefcase and you got to turn the two keys and they're sitting there timing it. Okay, we're going to turn the key, punching the code. They crack open a little thing. They got the code. They punch it in, and they hesitating to turn the keys because that human gonna sit there and say, "Hold on, man. If we turn these keys, the whole world gonna come to an end. It's gonna all get turned over to the lizards because they could deal with that. We can't." So the human gonna say, "Hold on, man. I got a mama. I got a daddy. I got a sisters, brothers, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, godchildren. Do I want to destroy everything?" And then they're going to sit down and they're going to say, "Hold on, man, we need to talk this out. We don't need to blow everything up. Maybe we need to stab it out, shoot it out, box it out, talk it out, but we don't need to blow everything up. But if you can get that computer, boy, if you can get that computer to do it, ooh, we all dead. Yes, sir, we all gone."
Everybody has a different role, and everybody decides for themselves with their own conscience,
Amen.
what best suits them and what action they should take. I came across a DARPA document that was produced shortly after the Battle of Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down, when DARPA suddenly realized that it had to address this idea of urban warfare. DARPA created an entire system with an enormous amount of money called Combat Zones at Sea.
Combat zones at sea. Combat zones at sea. I'm willing to guarantee you. Now, I don't have proof of this. I promise you, I don't have proof of this. But I'm willing to guarantee you. You see all them damn crime cameras all over the place? And here in New Orleans, they got a camera on every pole, but Negroes getting shot every day. But see them crime cameras with the little red and blue light? I guarantee you it's a spinoff of this Combat Zones at Sea. I promise you it is. Because they make all the sense in the world. Make all the sense in the world. That's it? Shorty done talking. Listen, I'm just jumping down a rabbit hole and I'm doing it live. That's all it is to it. And I ain't like this off the top of the dome. But what I'm saying to you is this. You see, this is why people need to have their eyes open and be paying attention. And I know people be like, "Oh, I want to see a scary story. I want to hear." Bro, this is scarier than any damn story I could ever tell you. And I could tell you some scary stories. I'm the best storyteller there is. But I'm going to tell you, this is scarier than any story I could ever tell you. This is what's happening to you right now. And this woman right here, she knew about it 9, 10, let's just make it easy, 10 years ago. Because she was in the midst of it researching it. So if 10 years ago, they were showing her controlling moths and flying moths around because they put a brain chip in a moth, what the hell is they doing right now? And mind you, they only wanted to show her a little bit. So what the hell were they really capable of doing at that point in time? That's all the Stankonia ambassador is saying to you, man. Pay attention. Wake up. Wake up. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to what's going on around you. I'm out of here, man. This is kind of disgusting, man.